Hey, welcome back to the show. I was watching a rig rundown as I always do, but this was of Brandon Ellis of the Black Dahlia murder. And he's an absolute monster on guitar. I'm only new to just discovering this guy. But during his rig rundown, he was using the 5150 just for the live show. And he was using the red channel for both rhythm and lead. And to me, the red channel's just been a really overpowering sort of channel. It was really cool and it's really thick and it's great for solos. But as far as rhythm goes, there's been a few times when we've rolled back the gain and we just get a little bit tighter and a little bit crunchy, but it's just still really boomy and it's so heavily saturated, I find. But something I never thought of doing was just running a boost through the front end of that channel. And always with boosts, they tend to just add a little bit more hair to the gain, I find. So in this case, I always was deterred from that because there's just so much gain on tap. I just thought a boost would just push it even more and just make it a lot more uncontrollable. But depending on the boost, it really just tightens things up and just makes it really usable and such an awesome channel. It still retains that massive 5150 low end, the whole sort of the saturation, everything that goes with it. It just makes the 5150 so versatile with a great clean channel. Mixed with the blue, it means you can really just have your clean channel where you want it set. Especially on the 5150, the 50 watt like I've got, the blue and the green channel are shared with the EQ and the gain structure. So you really can't have them both without changing that gain. And so for live use, you're really just stuck having a cool blue sounding channel or a green channel. But in this case, you can set either one up just to complement whatever setup you're running. So I think it's just really cool and it's a great sounding amp. And just before we go too far into the video, the birds are not harmed with their hearing whatsoever in any of my videos. I run silently through the 2 Notes Torpedo Captor X. It's an awesome box that just works so well with valve heads. It allows you to run the amp absolutely silently. It soaks up all the power. It can attenuate so you can run the speaker a little bit quieter than usual if you want and still have the amp working really hard. And on top of that, it sends a signal to my audio interface just simulating a speaker and cab setup. And in this case, the speaker cab setup I've got is a Brit Vintage C model, just with an SM57 pushed up to it, the Vintage 30 speakers, and I think it's just a great sounding, like the IRs that it delivers are spot on. It's just really cool. But I came across Brandon Ellis just the other day with the Black Dahlia murder. I've never really given them a go. I heard it back in the early 2000s when they came out, and I just never really went back since. But I was just amazed how clean his chops are, how thought out his playing is, and couldn't believe how hard some of the riffs were and just the accented notes are in the wrong places that you think they should be. But I'm loving the discovery and he's got a whole YouTube channel and I'm sure I'm going to learn a whole lot from just watching this guy. But for the guitar that I'm using today, it's my 2019 model Jackson KVX. I absolutely love this guitar. It's got the Japanese Goto bridge in it that we installed just the other week. It's got the Seymour Duncan SH6 pickups, which are the ceramic pickups. They're quite high output. And as always, I'm using Stringjoy strings, 10 to 52. I just absolutely love this gauge, but these strings last such a long time. I can honestly vouch for how good they are. They just sound great whether you're in E standard tuning or 2 steps down all the way in standard tuning C for this guitar. But fantastic strings, and I'm just proud to have them on my channel and be part of what they do. I think they're just a great company and they make strings for guitar players. And for anyone wondering, they're the riffs of Verminous, and the whole thing just stood out to me with really strange sort of bizarre accents. The riffs were really cool. I just couldn't put my finger on it, but that one in particular, that I just thought that was so cool. It was absolute standout, and I had to learn it. It was one of those times. But anyway, back to the 5150, the red channel, just using this, it's got that really rich sort of mid-focus channel. You can see the settings there, hopefully. The gain, if you just roll it back to about 10 o'clock, it does tighten up and get really crunchy. The bass is just on 12. The density I've got on the back is about 1 o'clock. The mids, you really just push those mids and it just really It helps the guitar solos really stand out and pop. And then I just try and manage the highs and just work it out with the high and the presence, and just try and find a happy medium where guitar solos still sound really rich, they don't thin out, but the riffs can retain a lot of that sort of choppy presence. So the effects that I'm using today, I've just got a Zool noise gate that's running through the effects loop, and as well as the carbon copy delay that's after that in the effects loop. But for the front end of the amp, I'm running the Orign Effects MEQ driver. And I was really impressed with it when I first got it. We did a video on it, and I think I was just using a JCM 800, and it really just honed in and gave like a really old school thrash sort of vibe. But I had no idea that if you use it with a super saturated heavy channel, you can wind back the mids, leave the level on the drive fairly low, and it just really tightens things up. Using the Ibanez Tube Screamer or the Zakk Wylde overdrive, and you have like the drive all the way down and the output all the way up, and it's really sort of like a clean boost when you do that. I still find that it adds a little bit too much hair to the tone, and you just can't really focus down and get some like crunchy rhythms going on. And that's just what I love about the MEQ driver. I can pretty much get the tone of any of the overdrive pedals that I have, and just the same sort of attack and the same mid control. But I'll try and give you an example here, but to me, the more I'm using it, the more I'm learning about it. And it's really just becoming my favorite overdrive I've ever had. So with the mids right down, it becomes really transparent and just really cleans up that signal a lot. And if we wind them up, you'll just hear that it starts to get a little bit too quacky for rhythm work. You can hear just there, it's almost that. You can keep going from there if you want, but I find that just the sound, especially with the 5150, we're pushing a lot of mids. The red channel is very mid-rich anyway, but it just starts to get that really sort of nasally quack. Those notes really seem to bounce out, and no soundproofing is going to stop them. But to me, just to get like a balance, more of a balanced tone here, just winding that back, especially when you're running loads of mids, it just seems to work really well. If saturation's something that you just want to add to the mix, just to get a little bit more hair on the top, you can bring up that level a little bit, maybe turn the drive down slightly, but or just really just turn it up just a little bit more, just to really make those harmonics pop out. Add a little bit of delay to that. And you get the idea there. You can really just manipulate this driver just to really work like an overdrive and saturate things, or just clean things up a whole lot and just really tailor your sound. But to me, it's awesome. I've had the 5150 the longest out of all the amps in the room, and as much as I've loved the red channel, I've just never been able to really harness it and use it for both solos and rhythm work. It's just so cool. I've stumbled upon Brandon Ellis using his 5150 and getting awesome tone out of it. So it's really unlocked something for me, and I just really want to explore this red channel a whole lot more with you guys. But until next time, guys, take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.